Let's take a look at exercise 1. Ibuprofen is an acidic drug and this acid is a monobasic acid. So in this experiment, 0.4881 grams of ibuprofen powder is dissolved in 50 ml of methanol and some phenolphthalein solution is added. That's an indicator solution. So let me just draw this in a conical flask. We have 0.4881 gram of ibuprofen, and this is dissolved in 50 ml of methanol. The sample is titrated with 0.1005 molar sodium hydroxide until a pink color is obtained. So here we have a burette that is filled with sodium hydroxide. This is a direct titration, and the volume of NaOH required to titrate the sample is 22.75 ml. Now the question asks us to calculate how much ibuprofen is in the sample taken and thus the purity of the sample. So let's do this step by step. First, we need to find the number of moles of sodium hydroxide used, and we can easily find it because we have the concentration and the volume of sodium hydroxide. So number of moles equals to concentration times volume in liters. And we have 2.2864 times 10 to the power of negative 3 moles. Next, we need to look at the equivalent relationship between ibuprofen and sodium hydroxide. It is stated here that ibuprofen is a monobasic acid, so the ratio is 1:1. Since the mole ratio is 1:1, then we know the number of moles of ibuprofen is the same as the number of moles of sodium hydroxide. The number of moles of ibuprofen in the original sample is also the same because the entire sample of 0.4881 grams of ibuprofen was dissolved in the methanol and the whole thing was titrated with sodium hydroxide. So the number of moles of analyte in the original sample is also 2.2864 times 10 to the power of negative 3 moles. Now let's convert the number of moles to mass, and we can do this because the molar mass is given 206.3. So let's take moles times mR. And finally, we can answer the question which asks for percentage purity. So we take the mass of analyte that we have determined through titration divided by the mass that was measured out and times 100%. And finally, we calculate that this ibuprofen powder has a purity of 96.6%.